Guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about LinkedIn and medical coding job recruiters. If you're brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. Okay, guys. So I got this comment from this viewer about this very topic. So I'm going to read the comment and then we're going to get into it. And thank you to the viewer who made the comment. So here we go. So the viewer says, I know exactly what you mean about the recruiters. I have been having bad luck with them and I'm feeling very frustrated. I have 8 years of coding experience, a COC certification, and I still can't seem to land a job. I have passed many assessments and have no bad habits, constantly studying. I think I'm going to take my profile off of LinkedIn as it doesn't seem that I'm being taken seriously. Thank you. So in that video, I had said about being careful with these medical coding job recruiters. If you go on LinkedIn, you'll see them post their ads and basically saying, oh, I am looking for, 5 medical coders that can code for outpatient and who have 5 years of experience or 3 years of experience, and it's a fully remote position, sign-on bonuses. They talk about all this stuff, trying to recruit people in. Guys, these are headhunters, and what they do is they have a specific task. What they are is they're out there trying to find the best talent for these organizations. So these organizations will go to them and say, hey, we have these 5 positions, or we have 6 positions or 10 positions, whatever, and we need medical coders who have experience. They have to have this particular certification or that particular certification, and we want you to bring them to us. And so then them as the recruiters, the medical coding job recruiters, they're out there trying to find people who can answer the call. So then you give your resume to these people and they say, okay, this person has this credential that they're looking for. They have this many years of experience. Okay, I'm going to send this person on. And then when you get hired on, they get a bonus for every person that they bring. That's a recruiter. Okay, so that's their job, is to do that. So what they're looking for are specific things, right? Specific credentials, whatever the organization wants, the company wants, the doctor's office wants, that's what they're going to be looking for. They're going to be looking for experience. They're going to be looking for all of these things. They often will not respond back to people, especially if they're they're a brand new coder trying to apply with no experience with them, right? You're going directly to them, giving them your resume that may be 2, 3, 4, 5 pages, thinking that you're doing the right thing, and you're not. I've said it many times. You have to have 1 no more than 2-page resumes. 1 is preferable. But I do resumes. I've done 2-page resumes, and they've done just fine. So the thing about it is that you have to be prepared. And then don't get offended when these recruiters, they're often not medical coders to begin with. They are just basically HR folks who can process paperwork, who can act as a guardian for this company, right? As far as like, they're a gatekeeper, not a guardian, gatekeeper. And they can look at a resume and say, oh no, this one's going to be automatically rejected. I don't want to mess with this person. It's going to be a waste of my time. They often don't know what we do anyway. Okay. So because of that, you can't take it personally when they don't respond to you, because their thing is they're about money. If that organization hires you, whoever, if you have experience and you're, and you get hired on with the organization, that headhunter gets money for every single person that they bring to that organization. So that's the way that it works. And so then you're not going to be wasting people's time. They're not going to mess with you if you do not give them exactly what they want based on what the employer wants. Okay. So because of that, I've seen a lot of people make fools out of themselves on LinkedIn where, the headhunter is just doing their headhunter thing. Okay. You cannot blame them for what they do. They are a headhunter, okay? That is what their job is. They're not up here to try to help you find a job. They're not here to try to help you do any of those things. Those people are different from a temp agency. Temp agency is something completely different. I'll talk about that here in a minute. But these headhunters for medical coding are going to only spend time with candidates that they know are going to be fruitful to them, okay? So I've seen people get upset at these recruiters saying, I emailed you and I never got a response, or I sent you my resume 3 or 4 or 5 times, or commenting this. You're making yourself look bad because people see this. And if they see that you're getting upset, do you think that this employer is going to be like, oh yeah, get that person? No, they're going to say, okay, that person can't control their emotions, so we don't want them. And guys, there may be thousands of medical coders out there, but it does get to be a very small community when you start making a name for yourself. And it is very easy to make names for yourselves. Trust me. People that don't know me personally still act like they know who I am. You know what I'm saying? So this happens to everybody. All right. So don't put all your eggs in one basket and lean on these recruiters to be the ones to try to find you a job, because again, they're trying to make money, and they're not going to sit here and waste time with somebody who's brand new, doesn't have experience, and they can do basically nothing for them. Okay, because this is what the employer wants. All right. So that's why I say you have to apply directly with the jobs themselves, the organizations that you want to work with, right? You have to apply directly with them. Now, when you are applying directly with them, make sure that even though they're asking for 3 to 5 years of experience, if the job is for medical coding, go ahead and apply anyway, because your certification says that you are qualified. Even though you don't have experience yet, I've said it many times, if happy coders are in that area, and if they get really desperate and no one is applying, because those happy coders are going to stay wherever they're at, and they're not going to want to uproot themselves, you know? And so that employer is going to have to take a chance on who's ever applying. So if you are applying and you're already showing promise with a really good resume and you can pass their assessment test, well, you're halfway through the door, right? So as far as this particular person talking about having the COC, to me, if you have the COC and you've had it for 8 years, right? And you say, well, you know, I've been coding for all these years and I have the COC. When you are looking at these job listings, they're looking for 4 of the main medical coding certifications. They are looking for the CCS, the gold standard of medical coding credentials, the CCA, the CCSP, or the CPC. These are the 4 that are asked for 99.999% of the time, which leaves a very small sliver of these jobs that are asking for the COC. I rarely see it asked for when I look at job listings. And I look at job listings everywhere. It's not just in Texas. I look in New York, I look in Florida, I look in California. Because of the simple fact that I'm here on YouTube talking about medical coding, I need to see what the employers are looking for. So it's very rare that I see anybody asking for the COC. Why anybody would start with the COC, I don't know. But here's the thing, guys. If you want to be looked at seriously, if you want to be taken seriously, then try to get one of the 4 main medical coding certifications. Because essentially, whoever's looking at that candidate is saying, okay, they have a COC. I don't know what that is, even though maybe they do. I don't know what it is. So I'm just going to go along with, you know, whoever else. Oh, here's a CPC. Well, I know what that is, right? This employer is saying this. Oh, I know what that is. Oh, they have a CCA. Okay, I know what that is. They have a CCS. I know what that is. CCSP. I know what that is. But the COC, I don't know what it is. And so there's all kinds of other ones like CMC and with all these other organizations that are just they're smaller organizations compared to the 2 main medical coding associations, which is AHIMA and AAPC. So you want to get a credential that's going to give you the most the best chances to get in. If this person is studying as they say that they are, right? And I have no reason to doubt them. If they're studying like they say they are, why don't you get the CPC? Because to me, the COC and the CPC are very similar. The only difference that I see on the COC is that they ask a few more questions about reimbursement. But it's basically the same thing as a CPC. So, you know, that would be my recommendation if you have your heart set on staying with AAPC. Of course, you can always go over to AHIMA if you want to. There is no yearly charge for membership like there is with AAPC. But that's entirely up to you. But I'm just saying, what would help you best, which is to see about getting a credential that more people are asking for specifically. Okay, that's just my advice anyway. And if you want to go with the COC, if you have that and you want to sit here and argue, I'm not arguing with anyone, period. Okay, so don't even bring it up, because I'm telling you what I see in these job listings and what I know from the industry. Okay, CCA, CCS, CCSP, or the CPC. That's what employers are looking for, all right? Most of the time, all right? So with that said, I would stay on LinkedIn, but I would not contact these headhunters. I would not contact these recruiters, because honestly, they are a waste of time, period, okay? And I would stay on LinkedIn only because oftentimes you can find when they are having like free CEUs, some of these vendors, and as you build your connections on LinkedIn, you'll see some of these vendors have free CEUs that they give away, and for attending this webinar or whatever. And so that's helpful for people who need to collect CEUs. Please do not ask me who specifically does it. You need to be on LinkedIn to be able to find that stuff out, because my connections help me to connect with other people, and then those people end up sharing the vendors and things like that. And some of these people I follow already, some of these organizations I follow already. And you can follow some fantastic organizations on there as well. So that's where you got to keep your eye out. And there's just a lot of things that LinkedIn is also good for, other than those headhunters, which I think is a waste of time, and I don't know if I mentioned this, because this is like the third take, but anytime I get a connection request from somebody that is a recruiter or headhunter or whatever, I always delete it and block them, because to me, it's not worth it. You're wasting my time, because I know what you're looking for, and I'm not going to give you it. Okay, I'm not. And so that's just the thing there that I will say. The other thing that I want to talk about is this. For those people that are going to get upset because these headhunters are not responding back to them, or maybe they say, well, we're looking for all these people, and then you applied and you didn't hear anything. Don't get upset, because again, when it comes to the time that it takes to respond to all these people, I mean, can you imagine how many people they hear from, right? So you are not entitled to a response. I'm just going to be very honest with you guys now, okay? You are not entitled to a response from these recruiters, all right? It is your responsibility as the job seeker to be doing your due diligence and applying at these organizations, applying at your local temporary agencies, and not just depending on this person to try to find you a job. Now, I say to go to the temporary agencies for medical professionals. You can Google this. I do not know a national brand. In my hometown, there were several that, I just Googled. I mean, even in my own hometown, but I didn't know about this before. I was put in contact with them through my school. But whenever I do the search, a lot of them pop up. So you Google temporary agencies for medical professionals, and oftentimes you'll see them pop up. So they'll have temp jobs for, nurses, temp jobs for, doctors and medical billers, and sometimes medical coders, because these temp agencies also get these contracts. And so with these contracts, they need people for a temporary amount of time to be able to code. And sometimes if you can pass their assessment test and then get in and do this contract position for a little bit, that's still putting experience on your resume versus, spinning your wheels, getting frustrated, and then like yelling about on LinkedIn about, nobody's contacting you and you're so frustrated and you're disappointed and blah, blah, blah. Guys, it is very much like you're on your own, and so I don't say this to discourage you or to, keep you from trying. I want y'all to try. But I want you all to know that that's the reason that you don't get a response, it's because they don't want to be wasting time with you, and you don't have experience, and they're headhunters. That's their purpose. But going to these temp agencies will help you to find jobs, because that's their job, is to find you a job. So if you are really desperate for work, right, and you're like, hey, I need to work and I need to do all these things, but I'm trying to find a job and I'm so frustrated. But if you make yourself available to this temp agency, maybe they say, okay, well, we have a position that's maybe for like a month or 2 months or whatever, and then you say okay, and then you start working and you start getting experience that way. Again, that's filler for your resume, and that way you can build your resume up. But there's a lot of people that want to be very frustrated right away. They want what they want and they want it now. My first job was 3 months. It was a 3-month assignment, and they were only going to select one person to stay on. There was 3 of us that got hired on, and I didn't get picked, and it wasn't on technical ability. It was just the lady that was working there. So not every place that you apply is going to have the greatest people to work with. I mean, she wasn't the best supervisor at all either, right? And so from that experience, I got on to my second job, right? And that was where I learned how to do professional fee coding. And from there, I was there for 8 months, and I was applying and applying and applying, and I got my job with my forever home. So sometimes you have to bounce around a few times before you find your forever home. Just because you start there doesn't mean that's where you have to stay. So that's something else that you guys have to know, all right? It's very important to be patient during this part of the process, because this is the shaping process. That's exactly what this is. And you're not always going to get your way right away. And if you are finding yourself, getting told no a lot, it just means that that place was not for you. Now, the fact that this person has 8 years of experience and they're saying that they're passing these assessment tests, the only other thing that I can think of that's hindering this person from getting hired on is the fact that they have a COC and not a CPC. Okay, and so maybe that's the only thing that's hindering them. I don't know. I only know based on what was said to me, right? And so that's the thing. And at 8 years, you got some bad habits. Everybody does. Once you get in, you start developing those skills, you will develop bad habits. Everybody does. Everybody does. But of course, we all want to put ourselves in the best light. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with wanting to put yourself in the best light. But also you have to be honest. What does your resume look like? Are you putting down everything that you need to be putting down on that resume as far as your skills go and things like that? Are you making use of every single space, every single bullet, not space, but bullet, that when you're talking about like your experience, right? And is it to the point? Is it concise? Those things are very important, okay? So that's just what I want to say. And to wrap it up, I want to say this for myself. I get a lot of emails all the time. I'm inundated with emails every week, guys, every week. And there's a lot of them that I do not get to. I don't get to them because if y'all knew my schedule, my own personal schedule, not just work, where I work 40 hours a week, my job, right? But also filming, also doing professional coaching, also doing Patreon, also doing all these other things, and my own personal things as well that I do not tell y'all about. If you only knew how much of that time I spend in a day doing all this other stuff, you would understand. But here's the thing. I don't respond to emails that come in asking the same questions. Blue, how do I get started? Where do I get started? What do I do? What are the books that I need? And can I do this? I don't respond to those anymore, guys, because I answered them already on my channel. And how some of these people got my email address and are asking me these questions, I have no idea. Because if you're getting my email address, that means you have had to have looked at the description box. And it has all of the other videos that I recommend. It has all of the other, like the books that I recommend, the how to get started videos and all these other things, the independent study with the syllabus and everything else. So you have had to have seen those. That's why I don't respond to those, okay? So do not get upset and do not continue to email, especially if it is the same thing over and over again, right? So right now I have this one who is not stopping on these emails. It's getting a little ridiculous, but to me, it's just like, okay, I'm not responding to you because I don't have time for those things. Because especially when it's all there and your question was not clear. That's the other thing too. If you write to me and you're not clear with your question, because I had to go through a whole big old email like this, not kidding, a whole big old email that I had to scroll to continue to read. And then at the end, how do I get started? Okay, it was only one question. And they were saying, oh, I have all these questions. No, you only had one question. And that's something that can be found with a simple search of my videos. I'm just saying. So you have to learn to do your research, guys. That's what this field is. That's what it is. And it's not just the coding stuff. It's knowing and learning these other things as well. Okay, and we've talked about this. I've talked about wanting to teach y'all to fish, figuratively, because if you teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. If you give a man a fish, you only feed him for a day. And so that's the thing, guys. I want you guys to learn so you can be self-sufficient and you can be like, okay, well, she talked about it here, she talked about it there. Okay, great. You know, this is exactly where I gotta go. This is exactly what I have to do. So I'm just saying. But with that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Best of luck to you guys. And again, continue to stay on LinkedIn because it's not such a bad place. You know, you meet all kinds of interesting characters there. But just make sure that you are really smart about your time there, okay? And if you're posting your resume, make sure that you are leaving your physical address off of your resume. I see that all the time, and especially from women. Ladies, don't do this. Do not do this. I mean, putting your physical address, they don't need to know that. They need to know the city, state, and zip code. That's it. They don't need to know your physical address. That can go on when you're filling out the actual application. If these companies are interested in you, they're not going to be needing your physical address right then and there. I'm just saying. So with that said, now I'm going to wrap this one up. If this video helped you, please like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.